The fateful day, how Elon Musk watched his digital empire bleed. The dawn of March 10, 2025, marked the beginning of what would be remembered as one of the most turbulent days in Elon Musk's business empire. While most Americans were waking up and starting their morning routines, behind the scenes of Musk's companies, a perfect storm was beginning to form. Around 6 a.m. Eastern Time, the first signs of trouble emerged when users of the X platform, formerly known as Twitter, began reporting difficulties accessing the service. What initially seemed to be just a common technical interruption quickly transformed into something much more significant, with reports of failures multiplying exponentially in the following hours. As the sun rose on the East Coast, the technical problems of the X platform intensified. By 10 a.m., more than 40,000 users had already reported difficulties accessing the platform, an alarming number even for a social network with hundreds of millions of users. The difficulties were not limited to a specific region. Reports came from around the world, suggesting an infrastructure problem on a global scale. Frustrated users turned to alternative platforms to express their dissatisfaction, while technology experts began to speculate about the possible causes of the widespread interruption. Simultaneously, a different but equally significant drama began to unfold in the financial markets. With the opening of trading on Wall Street, shares of Tesla, the crown jewel in Musk's portfolio, began to show worrying signs. The first minutes of trading already indicated selling pressure, but few could predict the magnitude of the drop that would follow. The initial decline of a few percentage points quickly turned into an avalanche, as institutional and retail investors began to abandon their positions in the electric vehicle manufacturer. As the morning progressed, the X communication team remained strangely silent, fueling speculation and theories about what could be causing the prolonged interruption. Meanwhile, in financial markets, the fall in Tesla shares accelerated, driven by a volatile combination of factors. Recent reports from UBS analysts had revised downward the company's vehicle delivery projections, citing signs of slowing global demand for electric vehicles. This fundamental concern about Tesla's business model was compounded by growing political controversy involving its CEO. Around noon, Musk finally broke the silence about the X platform's problems through a statement issued via alternative channels. In his communication, he characterized the interruption not as a common technical failure, but as the result of a massive cyber attack against the platform. His statement went further, suggesting that the attack was the work of a large, coordinated group and/or a country, insinuating a possible geopolitical motivation behind the interruption. This claim, made without the presentation of immediate evidence, added a new dimension to the unfolding crisis. During an interview with Fox Business that afternoon, Musk was even more specific in his allegations, mentioning that the attack appeared to originate from IP addresses located in Ukraine. This provocative claim quickly spread through media and technology circles, generating reactions from cybersecurity experts who questioned how quickly such an attribution could be reliably made. Critics pointed out that identifying geographic origins of cyber attacks often requires in-depth investigations, and that IP addresses can be easily falsified. As the afternoon progressed, the X platform continued to face successive waves of instability, with services being restored only to fail again hours later. Corporate users of the platform expressed concern about the reliability of the service, while advertisers began to question the value of their investments in a platform with such significant stability issues. Each minute of downtime represented not only a direct loss of advertising revenue, but also a blow to the confidence that customers and investors placed in Musk's ability to effectively manage a global communication platform. On the stock exchange, the scenario for Tesla continued to deteriorate dramatically. By the end of the trading day, the company's shares had plummeted 15.43%, closing at $222.15. This collapse represented an approximate loss of $130 billion in market value in a single day, a value larger than the GDP of many nations. The decline, put the company's total drop at more than 53% from its peak in December, representing an evaporation of approximately $700 billion in market value in just a few months. Market analysts quickly pointed out that the drop could not be attributed solely to concerns about business fundamentals. Musk's increasingly prominent role in American politics was clearly influencing the market's perception of his companies. Since accepting the invitation to serve as an advisor to President Trump, leading the newly created Department of Government Efficiency, ironically abbreviated as Doge, in reference to the meme cryptocurrency that Musk frequently promoted, questions about conflicts of interest and management capacity had been intensifying. As the sun set on the East Coast, reports began to emerge about incidents of vandalism at Tesla facilities in various locations. Groups of protesters, apparently motivated by Musk's association with controversial policies of the Trump administration, had gathered in front of Tesla dealerships and service centers in progressive cities like San Francisco, Portland, and New York. Although most of the protests remained peaceful, images of dealerships with graffiti and damaged storefronts began to circulate on social media, adding a physical dimension to the image crisis the company faced. This calamitous day for Musk's empire highlighted the delicate balance between business and politics that the billionaire was trying to maintain. His growing involvement in divisive political issues was clearly affecting the public perception of his companies, particularly in Europe and progressive-leaning American states, where consumers traditionally more inclined to adopt electric vehicles, expressed growing reluctance to support companies associated with political positions with which they fundamentally disagreed. Corporate governance experts questioned whether the boards of directors of Musk's companies were exercising adequate oversight over a CEO whose attention seemed increasingly divided between multiple commercial ventures and a high-profile political role. The fundamental question that many shareholders began to raise was whether Musk still had the capacity to adequately focus on managing companies as complex and challenging as Tesla and SpaceX, while taking on additional responsibilities in the federal government. As night fell, technical teams on the X platform continued working to fully restore services, while Tesla executives tried to calm investors through communications that emphasized the company's long-term fundamentals. However, the damage was already done. In a single day, Musk's business empire had suffered a double blow that raised fundamental questions about its sustainability and future direction. For many observers, the events of March 10, 2025, represented more than just a bad day in the markets or temporary technical problems. They symbolized the inherent risks when business leaders become polarizing political figures. The fine line that Musk was trying to walk between technological innovator, visionary investor, and influential political figure seemed increasingly unsustainable. The following days would be crucial in determining whether this episode represented just a momentary setback or the beginning of a more fundamental realignment in the trajectory of Musk's companies. One thing was certain: the myth of invulnerability that had for so long surrounded the entrepreneur was unraveling, revealing the real vulnerabilities that exist even in the seemingly most solid business empires. For investors, consumers, and market observers, the events of March 10th would serve as a powerful reminder that even the titans of technology are not immune to the consequences of their strategic choices, both in business and in the public arena.